So, after staying abroad for a long time, there is the reality of relocating back, let's say, to Kenya after living abroad. On this journey, so I'm asking myself, was moving back to Kenya a mistake? After my last video, which I already posted, a lot of people actually ask me what life is actually like after living abroad for years. Like not that Instagram version, but the home is home version, like where the real version of what home means. Yeah, because relocating isn't just changing your address, it's you change your lifestyle, you change your expectation, sometimes you even change your identity, really. And some of the realities I actually noticed when I came back. So there is this reverse culture shock, I would say. So, people talk about culture shock when moving abroad. But, I realize actually there are so many few people who talk about the culture shock when you come back home. Like you are acquainted to something different, and then later on the things that you were used to become like a culture shock to you. So, where you were before, you understood everything, you understood the language, you knew how the food was, could cook it as well, but somehow everything just feels different when you come back. Or maybe you've changed more than your home has. So like you leave and then your home doesn't change, and then you come back with the same expectation, but you forget that the home that you left behind didn't change. It just stayed the way it was. That's what I'm talking about. And then there is another thing, rebuilding your social circles. Yeah. So one thing I didn't expect was how much friendship change, like it really does. So life moves on, people get married, people get kids, some relocate, even they leave even the country, go to somewhere else, and people just become busy with work and family. So you become like total strangers. I mean, like not total strangers, but like people that can't actually have contact like you used to. So you quite realize actually that the friendship that used to be before, it cannot cut across continent. It's hard. People cannot keep on talking to you like every single time. How are you? Like there is that physical connection that's needed to create the bond, like to make the bond even more stronger. And when that can't be replaced, then it starts to weaken. So you realize that sometimes you have to build actually a new social life in every place you once called home. So you come back home and you decide maybe to stay in the city that you were born or you were raised, or to a different city, and apparently you all of a sudden have to build a new social life, which is quite hard as an adult. And then another thing I realized was, or I've realized, is the family expectation. So you living abroad often, it comes with the assumption that people think you're doing well financially, which is not actually the case. The family back at home, or even friends, they expect a lot of support, or even less, whatever they could be asking. And they assume that you have actually endless opportunities. You are, in this land where, how do we say, you're going to look for greener pastures, and you find the pastures where you are, which sometimes is actually not true. It's just that it's a different struggle, if I might say. It can be also difficult, really, in this case or situation, to balance your own goals with those expectations that people have over you. So that's something, yeah, I think if I start to talk about it now, it will take ages. I will just create a video on its own as I continue. And then there is this work and business opportunities. I realize there's so many opportunities if you are willing to create them here. Some people actually there's just some people who are really talented, or I wouldn't say it's a talent, but they are just they just have this, they thrive in business, and others have the skills that they learn abroad, and they can come back and reciprocate it quite well. I even find myself wondering whether actually I could be like, I could be an expert in agriculture, because in Europe, people don't have land, or rather where I was, people didn't have a lot of land, and the tiny piece of garden someone could have would want to plant almost everything, within a couple of 2 to 3 months where the sun is out. So when I come back home now, I feel like this is the time to actually make use of what I have, because basically my parents have some piece of land which I can actually put into use, even if it doesn't belong to me. In that sense, I talk. Yeah, but of course, that's a big decision that someone has to consider, of course. And one thing again is, or rather another thing is the cost of living. Some things are actually, I just realized some things are quite cheap in Europe. We take for granted, as much as people say, yeah, the living standards are high and everything, but there's some things which are actually quite cheap in Europe. I was actually surprised that when I get into the supermarket, I kept on asking myself, with the salary that people earn here, how do people really survive? How do people really survive? Like if you look at the fuel prices, for example, if you look at the alcohol prices, it's really, if you compare what people earn here and what they have to expense, it's uncomparable. It's almost the same price as in Europe. And mind you, where I was, or rather the country I've been, people earn even a lot more. They are still complaining as well that life is expensive, but the prices here is the same. So it's quite interesting in this category. And another thing is that to plan your finances, it is just as important as packing your bags. Like the moment I left Kenya is the moment I realized you don't play around with your finances. You just don't drink to the last note or to the last shillings you have. You have to plan your life. And relocating actually back is not automatically cheaper. That's a lie. You could relocate back and your life wouldn't change that much. So you have to really plan. You have to make decisions that are really suitable, and you have to plan ahead as well. So this is something that it's still eating my mind, but I'm hoping that I'm gonna get through. And so another thing that I realized, when you're back, you start to appreciate how abroad was nice, how the system abroad worked. So for example, like the transport system, the orderliness on the roads, the traffic, the administration process. It's not like you have to bribe someone to get something. If something is expensive, you either work for it or you don't, because if you have the money, you're gonna get it. You are not gonna pay for something and still ask for someone for connection who can connect you to get it. So that's something I start to miss the moment I arrived in Kenya, because the predictability of things is just different. It's very different. So you could order this and you get another version of something. So I would say if you've lived in those systems for years, adjusting back at home could take time. And it's actually that I would call it culture shock as well. As much as you are acquainted to it, this is something you lost, or you paused your life to have a new life, and then you have to come back and adjust to it. It feels really different. And of course, there is the everyday realities. Some of the things that stood out to me, like for example, the unpredictability of driving, the busy roads, some areas litter all around, like some places, there is this big gap of, you kind of see whenever you drive, whenever you walk, there is this big gap of wealthy and poor people. Like there is this gap that it doesn't look nice. Like on one side, you blink an eye, someone is living on a massive piece of land with big houses that even themselves, they don't know when they will ever visit all the rooms. And then if you blink an eye, someone is living on a single room with no even light, nothing, living hand to mouth. So those are the extreme realities that are kind of shocking. And from my personal observation, they wouldn't be for everybody's experience. That's just me, And like any other country, of course, Kenya is so beautiful. There are so many beautiful places. And yeah, the difficulty in realities exists side by side. So there is this side that you think, oh, you're home, you will never leave, and you even regret for relocating quite late. But then there is the other side that makes you think, did I make the right choice? And yeah, I have to mention, of course, the good things, because I can't end anything with a bad thing, because that's not what Kenya is. So being back home also reminded me the love I have really for Kenya. As much as I've spoken so many things that are actually the reality, but the weather, I cannot miss out. The weather is good. Like, you wake up, everything is like a routine, you know, it's gonna be warm. You don't have to carry big jackets to make you warm. The weather is good. In the evening, it cools down, so it's not like 35 degrees both day and night. No, you know, at some point, the weather is gonna cool down. And if it rains all of a sudden, and then it opens up. And of course, I can't forget about the food. Oh, everything tastes fresh. Everything feels like someone went and put their effort on the ground and took the fruit out of it after everything was done. So the fruits, the vegetables, can't mention everything. That's just delicious. And yeah, I mean, the warmth of people, you know, there are so many crazy people, but inside these crazy people, there are also quite a lot of many people who gives you warmth, who makes you feel like, regardless if you don't have friends around or family, they are there for you, even if they don't mean that good, but you kind of miss out. You don't feel that empty space, the energy, the humor, the resilience, you know. The moments that I've spent here, the few moments or the few short times I've been interacting with people, it just feels like home. I mean, I could be in the middle of some slum, but I would still feel home. I wouldn't feel like I miss out, and that really speaks a lot. The question now would be like, would I do it again if I was to return back? Would I relocate back to Kenya after living abroad? And my answer is actually simply yes or no. Because it depends. It depends on your career, it depends on your finances, it depends if your family is splitted, it depends if your expectations are the same or aligning to what is back at home or abroad, and what kind of life you want to build, because everybody has a different kind of expectation and reality. And for me, I think Kenya is home. Kenya will always be home, and there's nothing I can do to replace it. It will always hold a special space in my heart. But I also think that Europe kind of built me, shaped me, exposed me. It just made who I am right now. Like, I wouldn't be who I am right now without it. I would have lived in Kenya my whole life, but the exposure would have you cannot replace exposure, because as much as you can see all videos, you can see people traveling on YouTube, you cannot get the exposure from it. You have to go and experience and feel the people physically. So today I would say I feel like I belong to both places, and at the same time neither completely. Like, I feel like I'm not completely on both sides 100%. Maybe that's the reality of many of us who are living between two worlds, because if you've ever moved abroad, returned back home, or you've been thinking about relocating, I'd love to hear experience, or you could comment something down below, and maybe from there we could have an honest conversation. Because for me, I feel like I live between splitted worlds. I feel like where I am in Kenya, when I'm in Kenya, I always feel like I'm really home, as much as I feel like also at the same time, percentage-wise, some percentage of me is missing something, and it happens the vice versa. When I'm abroad, I feel like something is missing, or I should replace this and that, which I could only find it at home, like Kenya, to make me complete. So it's a splitted world. Yeah.